everyone, it's Arlene with Design with Arlene, and a big welcome to you for joining in my channel and watching. This is my YouTube channel where I share my love of paper crafting by making video tutorials of cards and other paper projects. So today's project I have is going to be a card made with the Feels Like Home stamp set. This is a brand new stamp set. It's a celebration, so you can earn this for free with a qualifying purchase starting August 3rd. This is when our new mini catalog comes out, as well as our celebration catalog. So stay tuned for that coming up in just a couple of days. And if you do not have a catalog, make sure to let me know in the comment section below and I'll be happy to get you one. This is the card that I'm making, that I have made for today's project. So it's one of these, it's a fun fold card. It's got the little kind of a pocket, it's a tuck fold card, I believe it's called. And it opens up like this. And then when you close it, this corner here just gets tucked up underneath this little triangular pocket. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the paper that you will need to make this card. I have a piece of evening evergreen cardstock, and this measures 4 1/4 inches by 8 inches. And then you'll see the little fold here. I scored it at 2 1/2 inches from this side right here. I also have a piece of cardstock that is the cinnamon cider. This is a 3 by 4 inch piece. And then I have 2 pieces of the basic white, and these are cut at 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. These are the only 2 pieces that you're going to need those 8-inch measurements for. And then I have a piece of, as well, of the evening evergreen, and this is cut at 2 1/2 inches square. All right, and for the designer series paper that I'm using, this is the Bloom Where You Are Planted designer series paper. I have a piece here that's cut at 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and then I have a piece that is 4 inches by 2 1/4, and then I have a square piece that is 2 1/2 inches square. Same designer series paper. I'm just going to be using this side for the square. All right, so to ink this large stamp up, I'm going to be stamping it onto my Whisper White, or I'm sorry, my basic white. I do want to let you know about this stamp since I've started using it here. It does have, right in the middle, it seems to be where it's not really inking up too well. So I am going to be, I have a little fix for that for this particular card, but I will be contacting Stampin' Up, and they are wonderful. Their customer service is tip top. I wanted to call it divine, but they are really good at helping you out. So just so that you know, that middle part in there just doesn't want to stamp, but we're going to cover that up anyway, so it will not affect this beautiful card. So my ink for my cinnamon cider is just really, it's fairly new, so there's quite a bit of ink on there, and I don't want a lot, so I'm actually going to stamp off once. You see how dark that is, and then I'm going back and I'm just going to stamp directly onto here, and I'm going to kind of press in the middle if I can, and it gives it a lighter effect, which you can see. See, there's just a little I don't know, little space there that just doesn't want to ink up. So there is the outside of our card with that beautiful stamped image. And then I'm going to take the second piece of basic white, which is the same dimensions, and I'm going to be stamping a saying on here. That just goes right in the middle there. Okay, and then I've got this really fun, it's the plant. And I want to stamp that just on the bottom, one of the corners there. Okay, so that's the inside. I'm going to set that aside. Now, while I still have my ink out, there's something that I want to do ahead of time that I will be using for later on as an embellishment. And this is some of the linen thread. Okay, I'm just going to take a length. And what I want to do is color this, because I want this to have some color from the ink. So I'm taking a stamp dauber, a sponge dauber, okay, and then I'm placing my linen thread right here on top of the ink pad, and I'm going to press down with using my sponge dauber, and then I'm just pulling like that. I don't know if the video is picking up on those birds outside. They're right out here. You can really hear them. They're fun. They're happy. We had rain not too long ago. Okay, so it's just kind of collecting. I don't want it to be saturated with ink, so I think that's good enough. I'm okay if it's not perfect. That's the look I'm looking for, is just kind of more organic. So I have that. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside so it has time for that ink to dry before I tie it into a bow. And then I'm going to grab my the front of my card that I have this beautiful stamp with, and I'm going to sponge on top of that. So I'm going to keep the cinnamon cider out, and I'm going to use soft succulent as well as balmy blue. These are the 3 ink colors that I'll be using for this to sponge on color onto the stamped image. So I'll start out with the balmy blue with my sponge dauber, ink it up. I like to go off a little bit on my scrap paper, and then just very lightly. I want this just a really light look. And I'm just going to sponge in this balmy blue, that door, front of the door. And I'm not looking to be like real specific. It's the kind of look, just a real light sponged area. Okay. And then the next I'm taking is the cinnamon cider. And this is, let me see if I have a new, here we go. This is, I didn't want to use the same sponge dauber as I had to ink up the linen thread because there's got quite a bit of ink on there. So I just want this a real light look. And this, I'm just going to go around. All right, and then finish off with some of this. This is the soft succulent. Again, I ink up my sponge and then I ink off, and then just very lightly go over some of the greenery. Okay, just very light. And then on the inside of the card, the inset, I'm going to just take some of this cinnamon cider, and then maybe I'll take the green. How about the soft succulent? Just finish up on that. I did not re-ink. I just want a really light look. So, okay, there we go. Now let's go ahead and pull the rest of the components to make this card all together. And I'm on the inside of the card. What I want to do is first lay down. I'll be gluing this down like this. The first thing that we need to do is take these 2 squares. So this is the square of the designer series paper, as well as we have the square of this evening evergreen. And I'm going to trim them in half so to make 2 triangles. So I just like to put the point here right in the divot of where it's going to cut, where my cutting blade is on my paper trimmer. Close it, and I like to double check. Make sure, there we go. Okay, 1 and 2. And I'm only going to be using 1 triangle out of each of these, so you can either toss these or save them for another project if you want to. And using some liquid glue, I'm going to go ahead and get my little silicone mat here. Just add some glue on here, and while all this is doing is just giving that designer series paper just some more reinforcement. It's going to make it thicker. It's going to help to keep it from curling. If I just use just the designer series paper, it wouldn't be thick enough. So, got some ink on my fingernail. Okay. All right, and set that aside. And let's go back and we'll adhere with some glue. I'm using liquid glue because this sometimes helps a little bit with placement. If I need to move it around, I can still do that while the glue is still wet. So that's one thing, one of the good things about this liquid glue. I almost said that's the good thing, but it's a very nice. I like the glue. I use it. I go through it a lot very quickly. Okay, So we have that. Now, this is the flap that's going to be the front. So I'm going to fold that over. This is good to have my bone folder. If you have a bone folder, just go ahead and give that a good crease. And then this front, the smaller piece of Designer Series paper is going to be layered and glued onto that front flap. Like that. Okay. And then we have our piece of cinnamon cider and the card front that we stamped on. Let me go ahead and glue that. All right, coming back in with the proper measurements. That other one was a little small, or this is a little bit big. We're going to make this do, which will be okay. Okay. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is kind of place where I want this to be at. Okay. This is going to go, they're going to be layered like this. And the reason for I want to make sure this goes okay is I want to glue this right inside there. So make sure that we've got it about where we want it, and add a little bit of glue here. Press it down, and a little bit of glue here. Okay, like this. Okay. And then the next thing I want to do is go ahead and glue this on top. So, but remember, we're only going to add a little bit of glue because we don't want glue here, otherwise your card won't open. So, add this. Make sure we get it placed about right. I measure it. So I kind of put my finger there, and then just make sure I don't place any glue on the other side. That's another good, you see where it's really good to have a liquid glue because I can move this around a little bit, which is what I'm needing to do. Okay, perfect. Okay, we've got that. Now, we're going to add our corner here, but you'll need to get some Stampin' Dimensionals, and the reason for that is you want to make sure that you have no glue here, and you need it to pop up a little bit so that you have room to put your flap in. So I'm actually going to use some, I'm using a Stampin' Dimensional here on the corner, the top corner, but these two right here, I'm just going to use some mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and that way less likely for that paper cardstock to get caught in there. Okay. And then just glue or adhere this corner to this top right-hand side there. So that way, when you go in here, it shuts like that. And there is your little pocket corner card right here like that. Okay. So now remember the twine, the linen thread that I had colored in the cinnamon cider. I'm going to take that, fold that in half. I always have a piece bigger than what I want, that I need, because this helps me to hold on to it. Trying to keep my fingers from getting too inky. Okay, and I'm going to tie this in a bow. And you notice that I doubled it. I doubled the thread. And I just want a little bow right here. And then trim off the excess. And then now I'm going to get this a little bit close up. You noticed how this is where I said the image on there just did not work. It's not really noticeable, but I see it. It was like the little door knocker, and it's just not there. So my thought is that's why I wanted to add some linen thread. There's this little bow here. So I'm just taking one of our glue dots and then placing it right there. So you've got that pretty little bow right there on the door. And then to bling it up a little bit, I've got some of, these are the In Color Jewels, the 2000 21 to 23. These are some of the really pretty jewels here. I'm going to take the pickup tool and I'm going to just adhere some of these. So one trick I've learned is I don't like to press down very hard until I know exactly where I have those little rhinestones or whatever I'm using. I have them in the right position. Then I can move them around a little bit, okay? Press that down. Okay, and there you have a fun card, really fun card that is made with one of the Celebration stamp sets that you can earn for free starting August 3rd. This is the Feels Like Home. And you open it up and there's the inside sentiment for you. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video tutorial. If you have are looking for the measurements and you didn't quite catch them and you don't want to keep going back and rewinding and trying to figure out the measurements for this, click down below on the link to my blog and I will have all the measurements for you for this card, plus all of the instructions and the tutorials as well for the previous videos that I have. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.